The 20th century witnessed the largest wars in human history. From those wars emerged legendary generals, some admired for their brilliance, others feared for their ruthlessness. Today, we'll explore the top 5 most famous generals of the 20th century. At number 5, we have Erwin Rommel, the man history remembers as the Desert Fox. Born in 1891 in Germany, Rommel first gained attention during World War I as a bold and resourceful officer, but it was during World War II that he rose to fame. Leading the German Afrika Korps in North Africa, Rommel became legendary for his lightning-fast maneuvers, surprise attacks, and ability to outthink much larger enemy forces. What made Rommel stand out was not just his battlefield genius, but also his conduct as a soldier. Unlike many of his contemporaries in the Nazi regime, Rommel was known for treating prisoners of war with respect, which earned him admiration even from his enemies. Allied soldiers nicknamed him the Desert Fox because of his cunning ability to strike quickly and vanish just as fast. However, Rommel's story ended tragically. As the tide of war turned against Germany, he was implicated in a plot to assassinate Hitler. Given a choice between a public trial that would endanger his family or taking his own life, Rommel chose suicide in 1944. Today, Rommel is remembered as one of the most brilliant, yet complex, generals of the 20th century, a man admired on both sides of the battlefield. At number 4, we have Georgy Zhukov, the Soviet marshal who became a legend of the Second World War. Born in 1896 to a poor peasant family in Russia, Zhukov rose through the ranks thanks to his determination and strict discipline. By the time Nazi Germany invaded the Soviet Union in 1941, Zhukov was already one of the Red Army's most capable commanders. He played a crucial role in some of the war's most decisive battles. In the winter of 1941, it was Zhukov who organized the defense of Moscow, halting Hitler's seemingly unstoppable advance. Later, he oversaw the Soviet counteroffensive at Stalingrad, a brutal and bloody battle that turned the tide of the war. But perhaps his greatest achievement came in 1945, when Zhukov commanded the assault on Berlin itself. It was his troops who stormed the German capital, raising the Soviet flag over the Reichstag and sealing the fate of Nazi Germany. Zhukov was admired for his courage and tactical genius, but he was also known for being ruthless. He was willing to sacrifice enormous numbers of men to achieve victory, reflecting both his strength as a leader and the harsh realities of total war. After the war, Zhukov became a national hero in the Soviet Union, celebrated as the man who defeated Hitler. Even today, his name remains synonymous with Soviet victory in World War II. At number 3, we have Dwight D. Eisenhower, a man who was not only a brilliant general, but later became President of the United States. Eisenhower, often called Ike, was born in 1890 in Texas and grew up in a modest family in Kansas. He attended West Point Military Academy and slowly worked his way up through the U.S. Army for much of his career. Eisenhower was not a battlefield commander but rather a planner and strategist. This skill would become crucial in the Second World War. When the United States entered the war, Eisenhower quickly rose to prominence. By 1942, he was appointed Supreme Commander of the Allied Expeditionary Force in Europe, a position that placed him in charge of coordinating British, American, Canadian, and other Allied armies. His greatest strength was not just military strategy but diplomacy. He was able to manage the egos and rivalries of leaders like Churchill, Roosevelt, and de Gaulle, keeping the Allied coalition united. Eisenhower's most famous achievement came on June 6, 1944 D-Day, the Normandy invasion. Under his command, Allied forces launched the largest amphibious operation in history, storming the beaches of northern France. The success of D-Day marked the beginning of the end for Nazi Germany. After the liberation of France, Eisenhower continued to lead Allied forces into Germany until victory was secured in May 1945. His calm leadership and ability to inspire confidence made him one of the most respected generals of the war. But Eisenhower's story did not end with military success. After the war, he entered politics and, in 1952, was elected as the 34th President of the United States. During his presidency, he guided America through the early years of the Cold War, launched massive infrastructure projects like the interstate highway system, and maintained a cautious but steady approach to global politics. Today, Eisenhower is remembered as a general who led the Allies to victory and as a president who shaped mid-20th century America. His legacy is one of discipline, pragmatism, and leadership in both war and peace. At number 2, we have Douglas MacArthur, one of the most famous and controversial American generals of the 20th century. Born in 1880 into a military family, MacArthur grew up surrounded by the traditions of the U.S. Army. He graduated at the top of his class from West Point and quickly established himself as a brilliant, ambitious officer. His sharp intellect and strong personality would carry him to the very center of some of the century's most dramatic events. MacArthur first made his name during World War I, where he earned numerous decorations for bravery. But it was during World War II that he became a household name. When Japan attacked the Philippines in 1941, MacArthur commanded U.S. and Filipino forces. Despite being forced to retreat to Australia, he famously declared, "I shall return." Those words became a symbol of hope for the people of the Philippines. Over the next few years, MacArthur masterminded the Pacific Island Hopping Campaign, a strategy of bypassing heavily fortified Japanese positions and cutting them off. This culminated in the liberation of the Philippines in 1944, when MacArthur waded ashore and triumphantly fulfilled his promise to return. After Japan's defeat in 1945, MacArthur became Supreme Commander for the Allied powers in Japan. In this role, he oversaw the occupation and reconstruction of the country. Remarkably, under his leadership, Japan adopted a democratic constitution, rebuilt its economy, and transformed into a peaceful nation. Many historians consider this one of his greatest achievements, but MacArthur's story did not end there. In 1950, the Korean War broke out, and once again he was called to command. At first, his bold strategies brought dramatic victories, most famously the daring amphibious landing at Inchkin, which turned the tide of the war. However, MacArthur's ambitions soon clashed with political reality. He pushed for expanding the war into China, even suggesting the use of nuclear weapons. President Harry Truman, fearing a global conflict, ultimately relieved him of command in 1951. The decision shocked the world and sparked intense debate in the United States. MacArthur returned home to a hero's welcome but never regained political power. Still, his name remains legendary. He was a general of immense talent and ego, a man who shaped both the battlefield and the post-war world. To this day, he is remembered as a symbol of American determination and as one of the most controversial figures in U.S. military history. At number 1, we have Vo Nguyen Giap, the legendary Vietnamese general who defeated both France and the United States, two of the world's greatest military powers. Born in 1911 in Province Central Vietnam, Giap was not a soldier by training but a history teacher with a passion for his country's independence. He joined Ho Chi Minh in the Vietnamese revolutionary movement in the 1930s, determined to free Vietnam from colonial rule. His sharp mind, deep understanding of strategy, and ability to inspire ordinary people would make him one of the most successful guerrilla commanders in history. Giap first gained international fame during the First Indochina War against the French. At the Battle of Yan Bien Phaich in 1954, he orchestrated a stunning victory. Despite facing a technologically superior French army supported by air power and artillery, Giap used clever tactics, surrounding the French base, digging miles of trenches, and hauling heavy artillery through mountains by hand. After a brutal siege, the French were forced to surrender, marking the end of France's colonial rule in Indochina. This victory shocked the world and cemented Giap's reputation as a master strategist. But Giap's greatest challenge came later, during the Vietnam War against the United States. Once again, he commanded a force that was outgunned and outnumbered, yet he turned disadvantages into strengths. Giap relied on guerrilla tactics, political warfare, and the determination of his soldiers and civilians. His philosophy was simple: the enemy loses if he does not win, but we win if we do not lose. The most dramatic example of Giap's strategy was the Tet Offensive of 1968. Though it was costly for the North Vietnamese and Viet Cong, it shocked American public opinion and shifted the course of the war. For the United States, it proved that victory was far more distant than many had believed. Giap continued to play a role until the end of the war in 1975, when Saigon fell and Vietnam was reunified. After decades of struggle, he had helped achieve what once seemed impossible, defeating two global superpowers. Unlike many generals of his era, Giap lived a long life, passing away in 2013 at the age of 102. He remains a national hero in Vietnam, remembered not only as a brilliant commander but as a symbol of resilience and determination. To this day, historians rank him alongside the greatest military leaders in history. And that wraps up our list of the top 5 generals of the 20th century. But what do you think? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe.